We continue our week of looking at audits adjacent to compliance by today focusing on the fraud audit. The compliance tip of the day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. And now I'd like to say a few words about the latest podcast on the Compliance Podcast Network, AI Today in 5 with 5. Thrilled to announce the inaugural episode of my latest podcast series, AI Today in 5. I wanted to do a short, curated set of stories and news stories about AI for the compliance professional and the greater business professional. You can check it out on Megaphone, the Compliance Podcast Network, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple, or wherever great podcasts are listened to. Check out AI Today in 5. Today we discuss the fraud audit, but what I'd like you to think about is how can you use a fraud audit to help prevent and detect bribery and corruption, because they are both a subset of fraud. Consider how using a fraud audit using data analytics can help detect or prevent bribery and corruption when a primary salesperson is used by a company. Don't think this has happened? Well, GSK in China, Eli Lilly in China. In both of these situations, employees in the China business unit defrauded the company to create a pot of money to pay a bribe. What should or can you look at? Well, one area to focus in is on gifts, travel, and entertainment to identify out-of-policy expenses and out-of-compliance expenses. Here, the biggest issue is double dipping. This means an expense is recorded on two separate expense reports or P-card charge or some other type of expense. These are examples that can be uncovered with data with analytics, and from there you can determine if there is an intentional as opposed to an unintentional mistake. In the case of double dipping, a key is to look for the same airfare, hotels, motels, meals, or perhaps being reported on multiple employees' expense reports. An example might be where an employee takes out another employee for a business meal. They pay for the meal on one expense report. Then separately, a co-worker records the meal, same day, same city, same time, and claims the employee was one of their attendees. These sorts of situations are a clear example of suspicious transactions. Another example could be double dipping, which includes duplicate transactions between meals and per diem allowances or mileage and company vehicles or rental cars. All of these things can be identified with data analytics that may be very difficult for an individual approver to see on a single expense report. The reason is that when you're tasked with approving an employee's expense report, the reviewer often has more than one single report in front of them for review. This may make it difficult to recall who submitted a report 1 or report 2 months ago. The same issue could arise with P-card purchases if you have an approver considering a single $2,500 purchase that approves the purchase on Monday and then again on Friday. Yet these two transactions may have been on the same day, exceeding an employee's spending limit, and the approver might not have approved both, but because they were submitted on different dates at different times, they may be thought to be separate transactions. With data analytics, you can aggregate multiple trips, P-card reports, meals, gifts, travel, entertainment into a single report, which would allow you to determine if the transaction should have met company policies. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, the typical fraud audit will go into the weeds with data analytics, and that's what you want to help determine fraud. Number 2, split dollar expenses are a key metric going forward. And 3, double dipping is not simply fraud against an organization, but can be a precursor or insight to larger problems. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow where we take up the integrity audit. Things that I'm happy to do for you, the compliance profession, is if you have a question or a series of questions you would like some compliance tips on, I'm happy to take any requests that you might want, certainly anonymize them, and give you a quick tip, either one quick tip or maybe a week's worth of quick tips. So if you have any tips you want about your compliance program, you can shoot me an email at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This podcast was created and produced